Hello, insiders. Welcome to this new episode of the EU Bubble Insider. Today, our guest is Malgosia Bartosik, Deputy CEO of WindEurope. Malgosia, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and the pleasure is mine.
Malgosia, your career with WindEurope, the organization representing the wind energy industry in Brussels, started back in 2004, if I'm not mistaken. That was
Yes.
a very different time, and energy was in a different moment back then. A lot has changed, and I would like to ask you to start our conversation today by reflecting, if you can, when was the moment in your professional development when you knew that the wind industry is going to be your industry?
Thank you for this question. I have to say it's a tricky one because as much as I would love to say that I knew back then in 2004 that this is going to be my career and I had that passion for wind, for renewables on day one, it wouldn't be entirely true. I'm Polish. I mean, we're both Polish, so you. I hope you confirm that back then, especially in countries like Poland, this was really not a topic that either people would study or be talking much
Not at
about.
all.
So I ended up in Brussels by coincidence, and I have to say that I'm very happy that I ended up working in the industry that, indeed, maybe not from day one, but day two, I became very passionate about, and I still am. Every single day, I have to say that I am very motivated, and I come to work with many different ideas, many different projects that I know I can still contribute and bring my interest, motivation into it. When I joined, it's an incredible story that the wind industry has. Yeah, when I joined, there were 7 people. I was the 7th person joining. Now we are 80 people in the organization. When we look back, we had 34 gigawatts of wind onshore, and offshore
In all Europe.
In all Europe. And then the offshore was just starting. It was just starting. The first offshore project was 1991. The Ørsted project offshore, 11 turbines, powering 2,200 houses. So really, really small scale. And at that time, not that many people believed, especially offshore, that we are going to make it happen. Yeah, it was at the very early stage. And thanks to the people that believed in it, thanks to the pioneers and very passionate individuals and companies that were willing to really bet on this new technology, we are where we are now, and it's really impressive journey that the industry had, and I'm beyond privileged that I can be part of it.
Just to give our listeners a perspective, from those 30 gigawatts you mentioned when it started, how many gigawatts does Europe have right now, onshore and offshore?
So today we have 225 gigawatts onshore in Europe, and we have 30 gigawatts offshore. So that probably comes as a big surprise as well, yeah, because we think that offshore is the big thing. It is a big thing, but still, compared to where we are in terms of installed capacity onshore, it's much bigger.
Yeah, I mean, onshore is just starting, and right now the topics that are discussed is mainly who and how will build out the farms.
And how much?
And how much. So if we could still stay a little bit in historical analysis for the moment, because I think that not only the scale has changed, but also how the energy industry communicates. Because in the past, it wasn't an industry that was, I would say, even used to communicating actively and building a positive image. A lot has changed now. How does this look for you, or from your perspective? Has also the rise of renewable energy sources helped in that process?
It depends where. It depends where. I think on the highest decision-making levels, like Brussels, we are a Brussels-based organization. The communication is much easier because we are recognized as a sector that we are the backbone of the future of today's and future's electricity system. Then, if you go to national level, regional level, then it really depends on the country. It depends on the country, and I think it's very important that we, as industry, we don't become arrogant. Looking up at those very high targets and the very high ambition of different policymakers, different governments. We stay humble. We understand the value in communicating in a very customized, tailor-made way with the people that are going to be impacted by it, living with wind farms, so the communities, but also the different stakeholders like the NGOs and the different organizations that are dealing with biodiversity. People that are losing jobs. Yeah, we're talking about here about coal miners, about fishermen communities. So we really need to engage with all of them with the right message, the right tone, and not be tempted by the success of the wind sector during the last 20 years and become complacent and arrogant.
This podcast is called EU Bubble Insider because it speaks with insiders, but it's aiming to address also those who would like to learn more about how this quite sophisticated industry works. And I would like, therefore, to ask you, as a representative of an association that represents an entire industry, an industry that has many other ways to represent itself on a national level, also from the point of view of the businesses can represent themselves. Why would you say are associations like WindEurope useful? Why are they needed in the process?
I think so. WindEurope has more than 500 members. And when you look at our membership, it's really not pure players and companies that are just developing wind. Yeah, we are talking about we represent really the whole supply chain, but also developers, finance institutions, insurance, scientific and research community. We also we don't really, they are not our members, but we have very close relation with different NGOs that are representing the interest of for example the communities, biodiversity lobby. So really from the different parts of the whole. I would say, project development. This is very important because it allows us to really build a very holistic picture and an appealing story. You need, of course, having all those different stakeholders around the table. You have to align the position. And this means that you have to find a compromise, and you can only do it if you understand different interests. If you really make an effort to gather information and try to understand and work out a position that is going to be good for everyone around the table. And when you think about the process, how then the policymakers needs to decide based on what they hear from different organizations. I think the more successful you are in bringing this one position that involves many people around the table, it's much easier than to see this as a solution that is viable, realistic, and something that many would agree on. So I see that's a very big value that association like ours bring. Having said that, I think it's we're talking about Brussels. I think it's risky to think that we can that it's enough to communicate with the Brussels bubble, as we call it. Yeah, so the people here in Brussels. Indeed, it's true that the policy making happens here in Brussels, but it's extremely important that we also engage on the national level before and after. At the end is we need to get people on board, people behind what is being decided here in Brussels. Otherwise, we won't, even if we have the best legislation, the best regulation here in Brussels, it won't be executed on the national level.
So I can imagine that, especially that some of the 500 members that you mentioned might be bigger in terms of the industries they are active in than just wind. It's quite a challenge to, like you said, get everyone on board. And from that perspective, how important is internal communications within an association? Because I would suspect it. You might even say it's more important than external communications.
It's very important. It's very important that you have a team that is united around one goal and really believes that we're doing the right thing. So the sense of integrity, I think, is part of successful operations and successful deliverables. And working for an industry like wind is, of course, it makes it easier for us because we indeed, the whole team is very much driven by the positive story and by the positive impact that our industry can deliver to the society. For us, communication is, we say that everything we do is communication. So we don't even have a communication department separately as many would have. We really have this very integrated approach to how we communicate, and we try to interconnect different departments, different colleagues, to make sure that they are building one on another and everyone has the same understanding where we want to go, with whom we want to talk, and how we do it in the most effective manner.
And you also have a very comprehensive set of capabilities that you have in-house, from what I know, because you have both an events team, you have a media team in-house, you produce a lot of multimedia around all your channels. Is that both for external and internal communications to members?
It's true that we do a lot of activities in house. We are limited in working with external agencies, so a lot of campaigns that we do and videos that you can see on our social networks, for example, they are mostly done in house. And I have to say that this is one of the best parts of my job. The gathering the team around some really innovative, creative projects when we have to develop it from A to Z. The whole concept, the script, it's so engaging and it's almost like a team building. We had a call actually this morning. We had a call with the team again from many different departments on creating a series of documentaries that could show. On one hand, we are thinking about showing some communities that live with wind farm. But what we want to do it in a way that is very credible. That is really talking about a wind farm, not in a kind of sweet, colorful way, but it's talking about it the way it is. We have a lot of examples where people were, for good reasons, they were maybe not that happy with the wind farm. They didn't have the right communication with the developer, maybe that the projects was something imposed on them, so they didn't feel like they were part of it. But then once the project was done in the right way, they became to really like the project and feel and really take ownership of it. We have a great example from the Netherlands where there's an old wind farm that's been there for 23 years, and now it's going to be dismantled. And wait for it, people are protesting against it, and they are protesting basically saying that this became part of their patrimony, part of their landscape, and they are just protesting against removing the wind farm. So we want to show these stories, but again, we don't want to do it in a way that it's commercial and it's showing only one side of the community and the project engagement. And the way we want to do it is, again, we want to involve the team in doing research, talking to those people. It's a great, team building, great creative exercise, but also great learning exercise. We really go out from our association. We go, beyond the people that we normally talk to, and I think this can be really eye-opening when you do it this way. When you really, go beyond what normally the association would do.
I've seen, I think more than once, people from our comms industry on LinkedIn praise the content that Wind Europe puts out, both for
Thank you.
strategy and one actually recently. I will send you the link to that comment where you guys were praised both for strategy and quality of the content that you put out, and I think that people who are impressed by the outcomes you deliver would be impressed to know that it's all or mostly done internally.
I would definitely pass it to the team. You need to really have a team that is willing to do this type of thing. Yeah, it's maybe to come back to your previous question. It's amazing when you work in an organization where people are really driven by the same goal, by the same type of passion. We have people from so many different countries, so many different backgrounds, so culturally different, but the fact that we all believe in wind and in sustainability, the climate change, and we're all driven by trying to address it is really making is really making a huge difference. The atmosphere that we have in Wind Europe is something that I believe is uncomparable to any other place. And this allows you to come up with these ideas, crazy projects. Let's do a campaign. Let's do a documentary. Let's do it all on our own, and really stepping out of our shoes or the expertise, taking a bit of risk. Yeah, you never know how it's going to be received, but it's what makes this organization and the job special, I believe.
I would like to go over to the difficult questions now. And one that I have prepared, it's also about communications, but the more sophisticated part of it. An important part of your job is meeting lawmakers who are not experts in the technical aspects or also the regulatory maybe specifics of what the wind industry needs. And the storytelling we just spoke about might not be enough to convince them. What's your approach to delivering sophisticated and complex matters to lawmakers, to other stakeholders you have to deal with in your work?
I think it's very important that you spend some time thinking who you're talking to understand what this person already knows about the industry, what are your main messages that you would like to resonate with that person you're talking to, and then try to adapt the language based on what you know, and how you would like the person to react with what you are saying. And this is it's not easy, but it's of course now with the fact that energy became more of a social part of the social discussion and more of a popular discussion. If you think about about energy 10 years ago, it wasn't really something that people would be talking about on the street, and they would understand how much it costs. They would understand how is it developed. You wouldn't really have that as part of the discourse, this general discourse. So now, okay, that makes it easier on one hand, yes, because the know-how and the interest is much higher. On the other hand, it's true that you have to then you have to even more think about who you're talking to, what are the messages that you want to pass, and this indeed can be challenging, especially if you do it from Brussels. So that's a risk that I think many are maybe underestimating. How much of this Brussels language we try to then impose and use when we're talking to people on national level or regional level. Sometimes when I see, we're working very closely with the national associations. We have a very strong network there. We're working very closely with regional associations, and sometimes really when you see the language that is being used there, you're just thinking like, how possibly we are able to deliver message. And it's the same for the industry. Yeah, the projects that are developed, the wind projects are developed by big global companies. Yeah, if you have, and then there is very important that you talk to people, the local people, in the language that they understand, in terms that they understand. You address their concerns, even with the highest level of respect, yeah, rather than laughing that someone is worried about this and that. And unless we understand that, we won't get people on board. And so again, this really understanding who you're talking with and adapting your language, your story, staying credible, of course, and this integrity in what you're saying, what you're doing is extremely important. But otherwise, if you don't do it this way, and if you think that you can steer everything from Brussels or from a corporate headquarters somewhere in London, Shanghai, or Madrid, you won't be able to develop projects with people on your side.
So research and personalized messages. That's my key takeaway from what you said. Good research on who you're talking to, and then remembering that it's always one specific person with very specific background.
Okay, can I give you an example?
Mm-hmm.
I was involved in one project, in wind farm project in Poland, in a very small village. And the project had lots of different problems, lots of delays, and I happened to get involved in the makings of the projects of the project. And then I talked to the mayor, and I asked him what was wrong, and I heard that the company was trying to really talk to people, get people on board, and really please them also with a nice picnic that they've organized there. And then the mayor told me that one of so the people didn't like the picnic at all, and one of the main reasons for that was that they got amaretto and cantuccini as part of the welcome and hello, we are Italian company and we're going to have a wind farm here. They felt offended that the company that was developing the project did not feel like they had good Polish vodka, good Polish sweets, and they had to bring something that was neither good, old cookies, hard to bite. So simple things like this. I have many stories like that, because we were collecting this type of stories, with people not feeling respected because the company was hired hostesses from Warsaw, going from one house to another, just giving bananas and other tropical fruits. We don't have Polish apples and Polish pears that you can give to people, and you think that you can buy us like monkeys with bananas and oranges. This type of very simple thing. You're willing well, but you really need to think, what you need to anticipate, who you try to convince, who you try to talk to, what are the beliefs and values of the people that you want to engage with, and try to adapt, your activities, your communication. And sometimes it really takes that, just thinking, having this sort of different, mindset that shows respect for the people that you want to get on your side.
That's invaluable insights. I hope that more developer of projects will. I may even cut out this part later as a snippet, because it really shows how simple, how you can easily damage the effect of something that could simply work by just not anticipating who you're meeting with. I would like to. We spoke earlier about how the scale of the wind industry has grown in over the years. I think one of the ways to also see how big it is the transparency register. Preparing for our conversation, I checked that there are 134 entities registered in the EU Transparency Register with the word wind. And of course, not every entity is active to the same level, but this shows that there is a lot going on, and a lot of entities are trying to influence the policy making process. And I would like to learn how WindEurope, as clearly the leader here, leverages partnerships both within the industry, but also with other renewable energy sectors, because sometimes, as I understand, the goals can align. How do you leverage partnerships to achieve common goals?
Very good question and very important topic. Partnerships are key to success. And especially that when we talk about wind, we, of course, the focus is the wind and the further deployment of this technology, but there are just so many elements that we need to consider. And especially, as you said, with the scale and with the growing path of this industry, there are more challenges. So we have many alliances. I can maybe talk about some. We have for example, we have a platform that we have established together with Solar Power Europe and buyers community. So green electricity buyers. I'm talking here about energy intensives, about data centers, Google, Amazon, but also IKEA, Heineken. They would be members of this platform, and then it makes a big difference when you can go to meetings and you can get the demand side to say, we want more renewables. You need to remove barriers to renewables, to PPAs. We want to sign electricity deals with the power companies and then operate on green electricity. It's a very powerful message when it comes, from the other side. So that's something we launched back in 2017, and it's been extremely successful on both sides, and it's a very successful partnership that we have there. Then we have another one on renewable hydrogen. So again, there we are. It's a similar type of a partnership when we gather different stakeholders. Also, it's together with Solar Power Europe that we run this platform with. We gather different stakeholders with a very similar goal, objective, and we try to shape policy around renewable hydrogen together. We recently launched one on storage. We are part of the Alliance for Electrification. So again, raising awareness on the need to electrify as much as possible, as soon as possible. And there is one more which I particularly like, which is called Ocean Coalition. And there we are working together with many different NGOs and stakeholders on biodiversity and how we can develop offshore wind we like to call it in happy coexistence with the other marine sea users. So that's it. We have more, but those are the most prominent. And I think this is the partnerships, coalitions. When you talk to other stakeholders, when you build this closer understanding, what we have in common and where we can become stronger by going together is very needed and can prove to be very successful.
So you don't have one framework of partners that you always work with. Rather, you look for the most efficient, sometimes unobvious partnerships that could support a specific campaign, initiative, or cause.
Yes, it's also for our membership. I think it's very important that you don't try to do one size fits all, and just member, you this category tick, you get this and this and that service. What we try to do in WindEurope is to really work with our members, our partners in a way that we develop this win-win collaboration where we understand what is the value that we can deliver to each other. It cannot be one-sided. So we have some organization companies that we simply say, sorry, we don't think that you should be our member because we have no service to deliver to you. Yeah. So, and that's a privilege, that's a privilege that you can do that. It helps you then to really focus, to know, with whom you're working with, or you can count on effective collaboration with your members, rather than, trying to dilute what you're doing and get disturbed by either activities, topics that are not necessarily something that you should be focusing on. So that's again the partnership is it's externally with different stakeholders, but also internally with our members. We really try to work on this basis and developing mutual understanding, mutual value proposition, rather than just one way deal.
And how do you evaluate projects, campaigns, initiatives? How do you know when if the job is done well or not?
It depends. First, I believe you have to be very clear what you want to achieve and how the success look like. If you don't know that, it's impossible to evaluate. Yeah. If your goal is to make 5 posts on social media a week, it's easy to measure. Yeah, you had 5 posts. But is it really going to make an impact? And is it really something that you wanted to achieve? If that's not what you envisaged from the very start, it's even you probably don't even ask yourself these questions. So for us, it's very important that we spend time when we start new project, when we are addressing a new issue, that we ask ourselves these questions: what impact we want to create, what the success would look like, and then it's much easier to design it in a way that you can monitor, how we are monitor and evaluate how we are doing. We are very active on the social media, but then it's very important for us that we don't celebrate just the number of followers or the number of people engaging with us. What we want to celebrate is where we have the right people interacting with us at the right time, in the right way. Yeah, when we know that we have some MEPs that are sharing our posts, when we know that there is a discussion under the post about some important issues where we see that people are learning something new from it, then we are happy about it. Yeah, when you just have when we have 100, I think 105,000 followers on LinkedIn, and if we see that there are like 350 likes. Okay, for some it might look like a success, but unless you look into it and see, who is interacting with you, and did we manage to get to the people that we wanted to get to with the message, then it's difficult to call it a success.
Of course.
Maybe I can give you maybe I can just not going to the social media again, but maybe I can give you a very, very small, very tangible, practical example how I would see success versus just an activity or a service delivered to a member. We organize events. Big conferences and exhibitions, and we would have a lot of members that would then ask us, "Oh, you have lots of policymakers. We would like to meet with this and that minister." Of course, we can put companies just around one table with some policymakers, decision makers that they would like to talk to. But then we try to understand, okay, if we have a CEO of a certain company that wants to talk to the minister of a certain member state, what do they want to, how important it is? What do they want to talk about? Of course, without the details. But if we understand that there is a huge value on both sides that we could deliver, we would do everything to facilitate this type of discussion. And it's not easy. It's not easy because probably how it works with the ministers and the CEOs. They have 1,000 different things to do. So what we would do, for example, we would arrange that there is a CEO that is, for example, taking the minister to the airport in a taxi or in a private car. Yeah. This way, depending where the airport is, depending on the traffic, you do something very nice for the minister because he's accompanied by a CEO of a company. On the other hand, they have 45 minutes FaceTime building relation, talking about whatever they wanted to talk about. Yeah. So simple, again, very simple thing. Yeah. It's a similar example to the mandarins and the cantuccini. Yeah. But
You can
sometimes
even ask if it's a private car, you can even take a detour and make it an hour.
Exactly. You could, but it's sometimes it really takes very simple measures.
Yeah.
You don't have to have huge budgets, you don't have to do huge things in order to really meet the expectation and do something that is going to be impactful. Yeah,
That's
I'm
very
sure that
true.
this 45 minutes in a taxi makes such a big difference compared to just being seated around one table when everyone is discussing and eating in the meantime.
Malgosia, in all those years, you have been part of WindEurope. What is the one project you're most proud of that you did?
One project in all these years that I've been in WindEurope. Can I mention two?
Absolutely.
So one project that I really love, it's a book that we produced. When was it? 4 years ago. It's a book called "Let the Wind Blow." It's a small book that is written by a friend of mine, Filipa, who is a journalist. We're both moms. We both have children, and we both saw a challenge of trying to explain to the children what we do, how the wind turbine works, why wind energy is important, why climate change is something that they should be worried about, and why people are talking about it. That was really the objective. And we came up with this little booklet. We put it on the website without any. We didn't really have time to think about how we're going to promote it, what we're going to do with it, and it just went viral. Just self promoting.
I'm smiling because I believe it or not, I have this book somewhere at home.
Oh,
but I know what
nice.
book you're talking about.
Very nice. Thank
So
you
it
very much.
definitely is something you can be proud of, because my kids enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. I will pass the feedback to Filipa as well. It's now that the book is translated. It's been translated to almost 40 languages.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
And the way it happened is really by volunteers from different countries contacting us, asking whether they could translate it to the native language. It's great. It's very heartwarming. When you see that. For children, of course, it's very important that they can read this type of story or any story in a language that they understand. So we have the whole website dedicated to Let the Wind Blow, that has all those different languages. We have some audiobooks as well, because people were asking whether they could do audio recording. So this is again a project that took. Of course it took some effort. I like to say that it's more of a Saturday morning project, because we were doing it on the weekends, as it wasn't really planned as part of our work. But it's just so rewarding, and it's really initiated the whole work stream that now we have in WindEurope on skills and education. We know what problems we have with the workforce. We know what problem we have with getting young people to understand the climate challenge and the role they can play to address it. So this is something that I'm very proud of, and one of the projects that I really love. And the second one that I wanted to mention is, maybe you have heard about it, is a project that we are developing together with AWS, Amazon Web Services, Accenture, World Economic Forum. And it's a project that is the aim of the project is to develop a software, a platform to help with administrative barriers to permitting of wind projects. That's the beginning of it. But actually, while developing this platform, we realized that it can work for any infrastructure project. Yeah, you can just take it by the public administration can just take it, and you can apply. You can use it for whether it's a road, solar project, big supermarket, house extension. You can use it for anything. The project is pro bono. So we have those technology giants that are developing the project without commercial objective. We have the approach that we,
which is already a success to convince them to be on board, right?
It didn't even take a lot of convincing. No, none of it was from the start That's the way
Okay.
the project's been seen. So it's indeed it's a. I think I'm very lucky to have this type of people on my way. Yeah, it's around me. It's really, now that you say it, it's yes, it is quite amazing. It is quite amazing that I'm working with top tech companies, and they are doing something because they believe, again, they believe in the same goal. They want to help. They understand that there is a big problem, and they are just, I can't think of anyone better placed in order to develop this sort of solution. So the project is, so we launched the prototype in April, after hundreds and hundreds of hours talking to, we call them permitting agents, so people working really hands-on in public administrations with permitting. So we really try to understand all the details, where are the problems, where we could save time, how do you file information, why is it not digital, where can you have a digital signature, where you can use ChatGPT, where you can use AI. So we really try to understand every single detail of it, and then these amazing companies are turning it into a technical solution that is now being tested in 2 communes in Denmark, and we hope to have a ready to use platform by the end of the year.
That's really impressive, and I wanted to change the topic a bit and ask you about an issue that came up in also my previous conversations, and that is the issue of male-dominated panels, discussion panels. When you see a male-dominated or male-only panel that you're invited to, or at an event you are participating, what are your thoughts?
I think my thoughts are probably the same when you see a female-dominated panel or female-only panel. It's the problem. I believe that the problem is when we try to, we're talking about big challenge, and we're talking about being inclusive and diversified, and then how we try to address it is by putting this female-only, male-only panels. Yeah, it's I think it's very important that we talk about inclusivity, equal opportunities, supporting both male and female, and that we are also realistic about it. That industry like ours, wind energy, it's a very engineering industry. And when you look at schools, for example, the technical schools, vocational trainings, the technical schools, they are still dominated by male. And so this is not going to change from one day to another. And I'm a huge believer that to drive this change, we need to start early. We need to start with primary schools to show, again, both boys and girls that they have equal opportunities. They can follow their passion. They can work in industry like wind, and they can find a job that is going to be passionating and then motivating for them. We're doing that through I've mentioned the educational and skills workstream that we have now in WindEurope. We are running a lot of activities in schools. We have developed the whole toolkit that a teacher can just download, and then in a very modular way they can use it in their classes for children that are 5th graders, so between 10 and 13 years old. And when you see the girls and boys working in doing a workshop on wind, building a wind turbine, for example, hugging it and saying, this is what I want to do when I grow up, that's something that makes you feel that's where we can make a difference. That's where we can make a difference. And they are 10, 13 now, but they will be choosing their future career. They'll be choosing their future education, and we have to act now to show them what are the possibilities. Again, both girls and boys.
I really appreciate this answer, because instead of looking for on the bad side of something not working well, you immediately start talking about the solution. So I really enjoyed listening to that, because it's a refreshing approach to some extent. So my last question is always not so much about work, and with you I also learned during the process of scheduling this interview how busy you are. You're leading a quite big team within a very busy industry. How do you find balance between your work and your personal life? How do you maintain a healthy lifestyle despite all the busyness of your work?
What I'm going to say is probably going to make you think, oh gosh, she doesn't really get it. What's the life work balance is?
Let's
because
see.
because what and I believe that I got it just right, yeah, because it just makes me very happy. My lifestyle, I believe, is very healthy, and it makes me very happy, and I hope it also makes my family happy and the people that I live with. So I, wind energy and my work has been such a huge part of my life that it's very difficult for me, and it's more difficult because I just don't feel that I need that to really take it separately, to think about my work as one part of my life and think about my family and my private life as the other part of my life. It's really integral, it's really interconnected, and I really don't mind. The way I cope with it, and the reason why I think that it's still healthy, is because it makes me feel comfortable, and I think that's the most important. You get the right life work balance. In a way, everyone maybe has a different way to cope with it, but it needs to make you feel comfortable and happy. And I'm traveling a lot, for example. So, I'm a mom of two children, and I love being a mom. I love traveling. I love doing what I do at work. So I travel a lot, but on the other hand, I take a lot of holidays. So when my children are out of school and I can afford to be out of the office, I try to be out of the office
And you put your
really
phone
spend time
away
with them.
on holidays?
I rarely, I rarely do that. But again, if it's something that it doesn't bother me, I even tell I'm going on holidays very soon, and I tell my colleagues, look, I'm going to be on holidays, so I'm not going to check my emails. But if there is something that you would need to discuss quickly, if there is something that would you will stop your work just because you don't know whether you should go this way or that way, then just don't hesitate to send me a text message, and I will find time to call you. Yeah, it's and I really don't mind. I think that this flexibility is extremely important, that you have that you know that you can organize your time during the day in a way that you will feel good as a employee. You will feel good as part of the organization, delivering what you need to deliver, but you also feel comfortable and good with the other side of your life. Yeah, that I need to feel that I'm also a good mom. I need to feel that I have time for my friends. Yeah, it's and I think till you know that you can somehow put all those puzzles together in a way that it suits you, in a way that it makes you happy, then I think you got it right.
That's an amazing approach. I can only uh, applaud it, and happy to hear that it works for you. Malgosia, thank you very much for your time today and for all those valuable insights, both about your career and how the wind industry works in the EU bubble. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I surely did. So thank you for today, and thank you everyone who listened for being with us.
Thank you very much to you, and of course to everyone that listens to it. Thank you.